Is reading ever painful when your child sounds out every single word in a book? Stick around, that's what I'm talking about today. Hi, I'm Rebecca with the Parent Teacher Bridge, where you can find the ideas and resources you need to empower you to become your child's most influential teacher. Before we begin, please go ahead and click like and subscribe so you can see any other videos that I have for your child's education. And don't forget, if you'd like to be on my email list, you can get my 5 quick tips to immediately improve your child's reading. I'll leave a link for that in the description below. Does your child read painfully slow because he or she is trying to read out and sound out every single word? If that's the case, then it's probably your child is not fluent in that level of reading just yet. Now, my first piece of advice is to back up to an easier level of book to have your child read and practice on that level for a while before gradually adding back in more difficult books. But have you ever thought about just giving your child practice in reading words, as in lists of words, or just sentences before diving into an actual book? Now, don't get me wrong. I expect you to read aloud to your child. That's part of building your child's vocabulary and their understanding of what a fluent reader sounds like. However, there's a lot to be said for becoming fluent just in reading words before expecting your child to read an entire book. Now, I'm not talking about memorizing sight words here. I'm talking about the ability that your child has to just sound out basic one-syllable words, often short vowel one-syllable words, and have the ability to read them even if one letter changes in the word into another word. Now, if you're wondering about teaching your child how to read, I do have a beginner parents course for that. It is called A Busy Mom's Guide to Teaching Your Child to Read. I will leave a link for that in the description below. All right, so what did I do with my own children to avoid this issue of having to sound out each and every word in a book? Number 1 is teaching phonics using refrigerator magnets. Now, technically, this can be done with letter tiles as well. We were just always in the kitchen, so it helped us to be able to implement some phonics each and every day, even if it were only for 10 minutes or so. And so I was able to easily build a 3 or even a 4 or 5 letter word for my child to allow him to sound it out. I was then able to call a word out to him and see if he could try to spell it himself, even if it was just a phonetic spelling and not absolutely perfect. And that was making him aware of there are different sounds in words, and when you blend them together, they create a word. Now, this was also helpful because while I was busy multitasking in the kitchen, my child was getting exposure to letters and getting to play around with those and build and make up words of his own. And even in the beginning, before he realized that you needed a vowel in each word, he was still trying to sound out words and make up words of his own. The vowels came later. Number 2 is CVC Words. Now, once my child was able to read some basic words that I put on the refrigerator for them, I started asking my child if they could make the word themselves. So I might say a word like hat and ask my child about the different sounds in the word. At. And can they find those letters that make those sounds and build that word together? This is where we could straighten out any misunderstanding that they may have on the direction of the word. And where's the beginning of the word, where's the middle of the word, and where's the ending of the word. And you know, the consistency pays off. You didn't have to do this very long each day for your child to start catching on. And pretty soon, my child was really fluent in just reading some of these very basic words without ever really pulling out a book and asking my child to do all the reading. Now, since spelling words weren't exactly covered yet, there might have been some instances where a C was used instead of a K. Let's just think about the word kit. My child may reach for a C, an I, and a T, but the principle was there. He knew that the k sound was at the beginning of the word. And over time, I was able to correct that error. But in the beginning, it was quite good because it taught him about letter sounds and where they were in the word. The third thing I did was to manipulate the sounds in the word, aka word surgery. And so this is always a fun thing to do with children. If you can take a word like hat and you slide the H out of the way on the refrigerator and then put the letter B up there, then it becomes bat. And you can trade out letters back and forth. If you trade out the first letter, then all your words are going to be rhyming words. If you trade out the last letter, that can be easier sometimes than the middle sound. The middle sound would be the vowel sound if you are doing consonant, vowel, consonant words. So you may want to save that for the end. But there are endless opportunities for you to experiment and do that word surgery on the refrigerator with the letter magnets. And the kids always had a really fun time doing that. And that basically equates to having some big, long word list that your child is expected to read, such as a word ladder or a word chain. You can find lists of words like this online if you just Google those terms. Now, once my child understood the concept of switching out letters and building a 3-letter word on his own, then I started using some blends and some digraphs. So let's look at a few examples of these. Okay, let's look at the word step. Do you notice the S and T at the beginning? They come before the vowel E. St. So by doing a word like this, I'm working in 4-letter magnets that represent 4 different sounds. Or flag, it also has a beginning blend, FL. Or slim, the SL is a beginning blend. And let's look at this next one, stick. It has a beginning blend, ST, but at the end, it has a CK. And so that was a wonderful opportunity to teach my child that you don't say the K sound twice. The CK together makes the K sound. That is what we would call a digraph because we have those 2 letters making one sound. Let's look at another example. This one would require 5-letter magnets because it's got a beginning blend and an ending blend, grasp. And likewise, the word crisp. And then finally, I might give a word that has a digraph like CH, chin. Now, all of these activities I was able to do as a full-time working mom. My child never had to sit at a desk quietly, perfectly still, and read some big long list of words or do some workbook activity to learn to read. This was all moving around, bending over, grabbing the different letters on the refrigerator, and it was active, and it was a wonderful activity for my active little boy, and it built so much in the area of phonemic awareness so that he understood there were different letters coming together to make their sounds and to make a word that actually meant something. And he became fluent over that time. I used the same activity for my other 2 children as well. Now, with my second child, we didn't have a magnetic refrigerator, so we just used a cookie sheet instead. But the same principle applies. I usually like to get letter magnets where the vowels are a different color so that they stick out and the child notices them better. But if you build this fluency just word by word, then hopefully when you pick up those beginning reader books, your child is not going to have to sound out each and every word, but only the ones that are a little bit harder for them. Now, if you are interested, I did create a video series called Struggling Reader, How to Help Your Struggling Reader video series. And in this video series, I address all the different reasons why your child might be a struggling reader. People struggle for different reasons, so check that out. I will leave a link in the description below. If you're curious about finding the right level for your child, you might want to look into my Good Fit Books video. I'll leave a link for that also, but it's all about finding the right kind of book with just the right amount of struggle or challenge for your child without overwhelming your child. If your child is sounding out each and every word in a book, that book is probably too hard for your child and it's sucking all their brain power, and it's going to be harder for your child to actually understand, comprehend, and be able to retell that book. Now, if this sounds interesting to you, and if this style of learning intrigues you, you need to check out my full course for parents, A Busy Mom's Guide to Teach Your Child to Read. You need to check that out because I'm going to show you examples that you can do with your child in the kitchen if you prefer, on the refrigerator with magnets, or you can actually do this with a cookie sheet as well, sitting on the couch or any other magnetic surface that you have affixed to your wall. We've done this with dry erase boards as well. I'm going to walk you through step by step. You're going to see videos of me working with a child and how to teach them so that you can imitate that. And it even comes with some word cards to guide you that you can keep right there handy on your refrigerator to guide you along the process. If you haven't yet, take a moment to go down to the comment section below and leave me a comment. Don't forget to click like and subscribe. Remember, if you have any questions, you can email me, Rebecca@theparentteacherbridge.com. And don't forget, parents, most importantly, you are your child's most influential teacher.